Drew, first of all, thanks for joining us again. Give me a sense of your campaign just a couple of days removed from Election Day.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. First of all, the campaign's going great. We've been able to knock 6,000 doors. I think we've been to every single community in the entire district. And to give people a sense of how big these districts are, the county commission districts, there are only 7 of them. So each one represents about 350,000 people. So it's over half of a congressional district. And for me, it's just been a blessing to get to meet so many great people. Obviously, I've met a lot of people that weren't already friends or weren't already in my circles or networks. And it's just been a real honor to meet people and hear that people are going to vote for us.
Tell me what people tell you when they open their doors to you, and God forbid they even let you into their house. Tell me what that experience is like, and what is it they're telling you?
The things I'm hearing over and over are, we're worried about crime. We don't feel as safe as we have, when we moved here, when we built our house, that sort of thing. So crime is a real issue. There's a real frustration for Republicans here that all 7 of the county commissioners are Democrats, so they feel like they don't have a voice, that taxes increase, that fees increase, that, the cost of doing business here in Clark County has really gone up over the last 5 to 10 years, and that's a concern. And then, of course, the way the county handled COVID was probably even worse than the way Governor Sisolak handled COVID. And there are a lot of people who still feel that pain, who lost businesses, who haven't recovered financially, and then you have the inflation on top of it, gas prices. So people are scared, they're frustrated, and they're ready for a change.
Tell me why people should care about a county commission race. It's not top of the ballot; it's a lower ballot issue, and not as much money. These things aren't being won with $1 million glitzy TV ads. Tell me why it is that people should care.
For people in Clark County, there is no single person who impacts your day-to-day life more than those 7 people on the county commission, maybe with the exception of the governor. It's literally the most important position for your day-to-day life, because the county commission is over how much you pay in property tax. They're over some of the sales tax, some of the gas tax. They handle business licensing and business regulation, water and land use, zoning. They oversee the airport. So these are the people who changed the name of the airport to Harry Reid International. They're over transportation, infrastructure. They even oversee Metro. So when it comes to public safety, they're a very important body. So when it comes to the things that matter to you, from, my street lamp is out, there's a pothole in front of my house, I wish there were more police officers in my neighborhood, those sorts of things, those are all handled at the county commission level.
When Stavros Anthony lost his court suit relative to the election, it meant that all 7 members of the Clark County Commission would, at least for the next cycle, end up being Democrats. Why is one party rule bad for a body like the Clark County Commission?
My background, as you know, we've talked about this before, is in government waste, government watchdog sort of work, accountability, transparency. And what I've seen doing this on the national level, on the state level, and the local level is that when one party controls anything for years and years, there's not enough transparency, there's not enough accountability, there's nobody there to say, that's not what's best for the public. And so you end up with a public or an elected body that just basically acts for the lobbyists that they're accountable to. So they're accountable to the lobbyists rather than to the public. And that's why it's so important that we get one Republican on there this year. This is the district where it will happen, because it's basically a 50-50 district. So it should be a Republican who wins ultimately out of District F, but it's got to be the right one. And so with my background as a government watchdog, as a government accountability expert, as a budget policy guy, I can go in and know where the waste is, where the fraud is, the abuse of tax dollars, and expose it, stop it. There are a lot of things that obviously, as one Republican compared to 6 Dems, I won't get past. But there are a heck of a lot of things that with my background, I can expose and use the bully pulpit and tell people like you, hey, this is what these guys are up to. and stop it from happening. So I think I can really save us a lot of tax dollars.
I know there are 4 people in your Republican primary for Clark County Commissioner in District F, as in Frank. What is it that sets you apart?
The easy answer to that is I'm the only one who's ever voted in a Republican primary before. So these other 3 people, when they vote for themselves, it'll be the first time they've ever voted in a Republican primary, if you can believe that. But more importantly, like I said, I've spent 25 years working at places like the Heritage Foundation, the National Taxpayers Union. I'm a taxpayer watchdog at Fox News, and I've got columns at Newsmax and the Daily Caller. So I've been standing up for our conservative principles for my entire career. It's what I went to school to do, and I've done it very effectively. I've saved taxpayers about $60 billion in my career. The other 3 people, I mean, we've got somebody who was on the Planning Commission as a Democrat and voted with Democrats. And so she's obviously not going to be the sort of person who's going to stand up for our beliefs. We've got somebody who was convicted of theft. So he's not the sort of person that you want over an $11 billion budget. So at the end of the day, if you want a conservative who's, stood up and fought the fight for school choice, for lower taxes, for getting rid of red tape for small businesses, I'm definitely your guy.
What do you think about Joe Gloria, the Registrar of Voters, and the integrity of the vote? Are you convinced we're going to have a free and fair election come Tuesday?
First of all, I want to say, if you're worried about your vote counting, please don't let that keep you from voting. Because even if we need to win by more than we should, I encourage you to go and vote. But to answer your question directly, Kevin, it's concerning to me that there's one Republican on the election certification board, and that one Republican is actually one of my opponent's campaign managers, who usually represents Democrats. And the county party and the state Republican Party, neither one want her as our Republican representative, because she actually gets win bonuses. She makes more money when her candidates win. And so she's got an incentive to make sure that if her candidate is losing, then they might get some extra help. Now, it's very difficult. It would have to be a pretty concerted effort among quite a few people for, actual corruption to happen. So I don't think that'll happen. But the fact of the matter is, with Joe Gloria, he's in a position where Republicans, we don't trust him. We don't trust what happened to Stavros Anthony, like you were just saying in the intro, or April Becker last time, where Stavros was ahead by 2,000 votes on election night. They kept counting these mail-in ballots, and he ended up losing by 10 votes. So that raises a lot of concerns. And so at the time where we need to be sort of have our trust rebuilt in the election system, we've got Joe Gloria putting somebody on the on this commission representing Republicans who doesn't represent Republicans. But at the end of the day, I encourage everybody to vote. The only way we're going to make a difference is by getting people like me in there who can either hold Joe Gloria accountable or send him packing.
Me is Drew Johnson, the candidate for Clark County Commission District F. How are you going to spend the final weekend before Election Day?
I'm going to knock every door I can. I'm going to be on the phone. I'm going to be going to Sun City Anthem Republican Club in the morning, and I hope to meet every single person I can. If I haven't met you yet, please go to my website, get in touch with me. My phone number's on there, my email. The website is drewfornevada.com, and I'm always around to answer my phone, unlike the incumbent, who, when you try to get a hold of him and say, hey, I've got a pothole, hey, there's graffiti on my street, you can't ever get a hold of them. So that's one thing that really is making me run this time. It's to be accessible to voters, because at the end of the day, with county commission, there's a lot of big projects, but there's also a need to listen to the people that you represent.
I want to ask you about development, because it always comes up, whether it's Badlands or one of the other developments. There's always seemingly a problem, and usually a very expensive problem for a city or a county. Where are you in this push-pull for development versus worrying about the people?
I think that there are two different things going on. First of all, you have people like the incumbent that I'll be running against, Justin Jones, who believes in development, but he believes in putting very high-density, affordable housing in sort of upscale neighborhoods. And that doesn't do anything to, first of all, the land is expensive, so you're not getting the bang for the buck as far as creating new housing. And it also brings problems with crime and devaluing people's property and things like that. So that's a terrible approach. We do need to fight to get more of our public land back in Nevadans' hands, back in Clark County's hands, because, as you know, 89% of Clark County is owned by the federal government. And we do need more affordable housing, and we do have water issues that we need to correct, so we can't just build willy-nilly. But the fact of the matter is that we need to be able to have at least some more of that federal land that we can build on. And I'm not talking about, these places where we all go to hike like Red Rock. I'm talking about when you're driving to Mesquite or to Primm and you go through mile after mile of kind of barren wasteland that could be supporting affordable housing. So I think there's a place for development. I think that the development has to be done a lot more responsibly than it's been done by the Commission in recent years. And I think step one is to get more of that federal land back into our hands.
Drew Johnson, always good to visit with you. Thank you so much. Best of luck. Be safe as you're door knocking the rest of the way up to Election Day on Tuesday. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk again soon.